Good evening and welcome to the December 11th, 2024 Orange Board of Selectmen's meeting. First item, in the event of an emergency, scouts, pay attention. You would go up that stairway that probably you all came in, up and out, and help the old people out, which is us. Listen to Mitch saying you. Okay. Oh, Lord. If that were for some reason not passable, you would go down the hallway to the back, which would lead you out to the parking lot by the firehouse, or you could go up the wall behind, the stairs behind the wall with the clock on it, through the double doors, and that will put you out in front on the Orange Center Road side of the building. I'm going to ask the scouts to come up to lead in the Pledge of Allegiance. You can all line up over on this side, please, and do that part. We didn't have you rehearse, but I'm sure you will do excellent. All right, when you're ready, you start and we'll follow. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Troop. That's Troop, I believe it's Troop 922. Yes? Yes. They're here tonight to ask for something. They're first on the agenda to waive the expenses for the High Plains Community Center for the Pinewood Derby, just so you know why they're here. And they also will get a government badge, I think, for attending the meeting tonight. So, welcome. Okay, I'll start down on the side tonight.
Good evening, Mitch Goldblatt.
Bill Kraut.
Good evening, John Carangelo.
Vince Marino, Town Attorney.
Ann Denny, Secretary to the Board.
Good evening, Judy Williams.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. PJ Shanley.
Okay, very good. Public participation. Public participation is for any item that is not an agenda item. We allow 2 minutes per speaker. Is there anybody here for any non-agenda item? Okay, anybody at the table?
I just want to say, great tractor parade. Hello. God, it was awesome. It was. Boy, if you missed it, you missed it.
You missed it. It was good. Okay, it's on my list here. Thank you, Judy. Okay, first, since we last met, we lost 3 very involved members of the community. Muriel Hill Mahoney, who was instrumental in quite a few things around town over the years, but most notably in at the fair, the Orange Fair, with her brother Tom and her father and mother over many years and all. They were involved right from the inception. So unfortunately, Muriel lost a battle with lung cancer. Very unfortunate. Bob Clefman, who was actually the engineer who installed the sewer system down through all of our commercial district and all, was still on the board as a resident person on the commission, and unfortunately we lost him. And Jan Lutz, who lived on Orange Center Road for many years. Family was involved. Her father was the chairman of the Orange Sesquicentennial back in 1972. And Jan Lutz was a person who wanted to make sure that the view of the pond at where Lambert Road comes out onto Orange Center Road was part of their property, and she wanted to make sure the town had that before she really had gone downhill. And she used to sit when she was housebound and all to watch the pond across the street and all. She was a really lovely lady. She was an athletic director, I think, at Brown University for a lot of years, and then moved back to the family homestead here after she retired. All wonderful people. They gave above and beyond to our community, and we're sorry for the loss of all 3 of them. As Judy already mentioned, was the holiday festival, tree lighting, tractor parade. It seems to be mostly tractor parade first. I think this year I was told there were somewhere between 85 and 88 tractor float participants in the parade. They had great fun doing it. It was Mr. Foyer, who's sitting home right now having his popcorn, watching this, is very instrumental in making it happen. And this year, you'll see a very large tree up at the fairgrounds, all lighted out in front of the gazebo. Well, it was a tree that was at his farm that had to be cut down between two barn buildings, and he didn't want it to just go through the chipper for waste, so they waited, and he had Harlan Denny come and cut it down, and they loaded it on a trailer. It's like 30 feet tall. And then John Clark augured a hole into the ground up there on the fairgrounds, and they stood it up, and Brent Nielsen from BDN Tent put in the tent stakes and ropes with Mr. Denny to hold it up through the winds we had, and hopefully the winds we're going to have tonight. And the Highway Department handled all of that, and Park and Rec, and any of you who know Chris Small from Park and Rec, Christmas is his favorite holiday. If you go by his house down on, is that Lincoln Road? You have to go in through Wilson or Drummond and then into Lincoln Road. It's one-way traffic this time of year because the people line up to watch it there, and they have a radio station that you can tune to, I guess, and the lights dance with the music that comes over that radio station is what they tell me. So thank you to all of them for that, and the Orange Police Department, and Ann, the stuff she does, it wouldn't be possible, but it worked out pretty well. So thank you, Judy, for bringing that up. Message from Mr. Foyer, even though today it doesn't seem like it. Imagine if it was cold, we'd have like 2 feet or more of snow out there tonight. Reminder from the Highway Department is to prepare for winter weather now. Protect your mailbox with a batter board and put snow stakes in along the edge of your property, if possible. I'm going to give you a suggestion on that one. Go find some tomato stakes or a little bit heavier stick or something, those wispy little fiberglass whips that they sell at the big box stores. If you're driving a truck with a plow and the snow is blowing, those things are very, very hard to see. And you don't want it white, really, because if snow is out there and it's snowing and it's white, you want to paint them red or yellow or orange or something, but put them along the edge of your property if you're in a spot where there's a bend in the road or where you think the snow plows might hit them. But those are kind of important things. The Town of Orange holiday schedule. The Town Hall and Library and Transfer Station will close at 1 p.m. on December 24th, will be closed on Wednesday, December 25th, and Wednesday, January 1st. The town pool will close at noon on December 24th and reopen on December 26th, and will be closed on January 1st. And let's not forget, I don't know how many years it's been, but probably close to 30, the Chili Run, for those of you out there that are runners for the 5K, the Amity Teen Center Chili Run is on New Year's Day. You can register online for it, or they do take registrations that day, and if the weather is even remotely nice, they'll get 600, 700, 800 participants for that. It's the oldest and usually the best attended race of all the fundraisers over the season. So that is our announcements for tonight. Thank you. Minutes. To consider and act on the minutes of the November 13th, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen. If there's any errors, omissions, or corrections, state page and paragraph. If not, is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Is there any discussion on those? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous. To consider and act upon minutes of the December 3rd special meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Any errors, omissions, or corrections?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Actually,
Did you find one?
yeah. Carnival co-chair, Selectman Shannon.
Oh, you want, don't you want to be? We voted you in.
Don't worry, it may be coming. All right,
right,
with
well-
that noted change.
Oh, well, I just didn't put a
Come.
colon in
All right.
there. Foyer is the.
Right.
New business. To consider an act on request from Cub Scout Pack 922 to waive the customary rental fee for High Plains Community Center for the Pinewood Derby event, Friday, February 7th, 2025. Who's going to come up and tell all these people at home what the Pinewood Derby is? All right, you're going to come up here, and this is your moment in the sun. And you can explain to us why we need to waive the fees for your Pinewood Derby, and what is the Pinewood Derby?
Good evening, everyone. We are the PAC 922 Era of Light Scouts. We are here tonight to request permission for the use of the High Plains Community Center gym. We would like to enjoy its use for our annual Pinewood Derby on the evening of February 7th, 2025. In addition, we are also requesting for you to waive the fee for this event. We would like you to consider this request due to the numerous community events that we assist with: flag raising for town events, annual cleanup at Camp Cedar Crest, annual food drives, and marching in parades showing town spirit.
Not to mention, as Scouts, we pride ourselves with weaving facilities as we use cleaner than we found it.
Good. Who's next?
Thank you for your consideration, and we patiently await for your decision.
Okay, you're,
Michael, can you tell them what he asked what the Pinewood Derby is? Can you tell them what the Pinewood Derby is, Michael?
The Pinewood Derby is where each scout builds a car, and then we race them, and then the winners gets trophies, and we all celebrate.
Nice.
and that's it, very excellent.
Good. That's a great job.
That's very, very excellent, and that has been going on for years and years and years, huh?
Yes.
So, and you enjoy
So
it?
many years.
Have any of you ever come close to winning? Or are there always a lot of entries?
I got
There
third
are
place
a
one
ton
year.
of
Well, that's
entries.
good. There's a ton of them?
Yeah, I'd say like at least 30 or so.
That's a lot.
That's good.
Excellent. Very good, guys.
Do you have your cars built yet?
We do not.
They didn't give them to us.
You didn't get your kit yet with your block of wood and all?
They didn't
Wow.
even start
You
yet.
can tell them if they did give it already, though, they can come to that as well down at the firehouse. What did you just get?
We just got our boats for our rain gutter regatta, which is also where you
Yep.
can make your boat that they give you, and then you race them in water.
I love that.
Wow, very, very, so you're gonna have 2 races over the winter?
Wow,
Very good. Excellent.
that sounds like fun.
Does
Really?
anybody else have any more questions about this? If
Yes,
not,
Speaking from experience, it is hard to win the Pinewood Derby. Mine did not come close.
Yeah, it's
Not
pretty
even
hard
close.
to win.
This all comes full circle.
I'd say we'd have what, a 3% chance of winning.
30%? Yeah,
no,
Yeah.
Mitch had a 3% chance, he said.
maybe. Good luck.
Okay, is there a
Motion
is
to approve as requested.
all right, is there a motion to approve this request of this fine group of young Orange residents here? Motion is made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on this?
I think it's gonna be a great time.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's approved. You're all set, guys.
One more.
Thank you. We would like to have you join us for this event on the evening of February 7th, 2025.
February 7th. Excellent.
All right, and we'll send out an email and remind everybody on that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well done. Well done.
Okay. Item number 2 is to consider on an act on request to approve the renewal of license agreements for rental of farm fields, Wright Farm property, Racebrook Track property, Meeting House Farm Field, well, it's Wolf Park property, and Ewan Farm Preserve property. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak on this?
Finally, thank you for putting that on the agenda. Like 5 years sometimes for something like this. Hello, Tom Paisano, 523 Fairway Road. I'm the co-president of Orange Soccer for 38 years. Jim, I had a quick question for you. Maybe you can answer it. Apparently, I'm not on your Christmas list.
Not even close.
Yeah, and because I have asked 5 years ago, and then every 2 years when the lease is being renewed, for the favor of farming the land at Fred Wolf Park. It's 16 acres, it's 14.4 acres on the layout. However, I've never been considered, and I'd like to know why.
Because you own, why don't you tell me, what agricultural equipment do you own at this moment?
What is the
And
requirements?
What do you own? What
Yeah,
agricultural
tell
equipment?
me- tell me what
What's
the
your-
requirements
And I'd like
are.
to know what your chemical applicator license number is
Yeah,
also.
that's all right, we get all
Do
that.
you have it?
We got all that.
No, you don't.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
You
Does
don't.
Does everybody have it? Let's see everybody's permits and everything. I didn't see it on any of the
Tom?
permits for the last 6 years.
You're
Anyway.
here to- Are you
the-
here to cause trouble, or are you here to speak?
I'm giving you a matter of fact. So I've been asking that over and over, okay? And there's only one person that assigns these fields, and there's several, okay, that are town property. And that's done at the personal discretion of Mr. Jim Izzioli. Okay, we don't have any bidding on it, we don't have any discussion on it, and I've never been asked to develop that part of land. And what's the problem? Why do I care about that? You have children. I've been told for 5 years, I used to go to Park and Rec meetings. I go to every Selectmen meeting for the sole purpose of trying to help the kids develop Fred Wolf Park. We haven't been developing Fred Wolf Park at the speed required because we continue to give out farm leases, okay? We continue to do that year after year, and there's nothing wrong with that in this town. This particular piece of property is for the kids. You can't see this piece of property. You can't, it's not, what do you call it? An architectural viewing of the town. It doesn't beautification the town. It's a secluded piece of land that the town bought for recreational purposes. And I know, Jim, you didn't even begin this. Bob Souza was the selectman at the time. I was on the committee. We allowed them to continue the farming there. Jim has just continued to do the same thing. Mitch, you had it for a couple of years. I don't know why you didn't stop it. This is an agenda item. I don't have a bell for 2 minutes. Read your rules, okay? Anyway, the point I was making is you're delaying progress on Fred Wolf Park. And you know, we have a committee, and I appreciate that. They're doing their yeoman's job the fastest and the best they can. But we are dragging our feet by continually giving out farm leases for this particular property and nothing else. Now, when we were doing other modifications, Mr. Zioli on his own decided that he was going to have modifications and things done at Fred Wolf. We did not have a delay. We did not have a traffic study. We did not have a master plan requirement. We just did it, okay? Now comes time, we want to do a master plan. We have good people. We have a great committee working on it, and we are tying our hands and legs for it. And that's the delay. And it's clear, because I believe there is a wish that we never do anything with that piece of property but continue to farm it. I'm going to sit down for a minute because there's others that want to speak, but
Can I ask you a question?
yes, you can.
I thought you said you wanted us to come together and get a plan so that there was some organized future for
We are-
Wolf
we
Park.
are doing that.
So
It's-
now you're telling me that you're wasting our time, or we're wasting your time by coming with a committee that's been working?
I didn't say that at all. I said we've made progress. That took 2-3 years, by the way, trying to convince this gentleman that we should have a committee,
So-
but we did that.
So
And that's a good thing.
don't we have a committee that is
Yes, we
working on
do,
it at the moment?
and they are working.
Okay.
But 2 years ago, when I asked the same question, I was told, it's just a 2-year lease, don't worry about it. Now it's an additional 1-year lease, don't worry about it. 3-4 years, these kids will graduate from high school by the time I get anything done for these kids. You understand, I've been doing this for 38 years. I was involved in 1998 when this park first started, and we haven't done much. And none of it was done without pushing somebody. And this town needs to do a little bit more for the kids, Okay, we really don't need, and I know I've read beautification, we're feeding people. No one's feeding anything but cows from Fred Wolf Park. When the people at Heinz Farm, Walt Hine did it for years. He farmed it before Jim was even a selectman, before the town bought all those pieces of land. I think that piece of land might have been Russ Hannah Clark's land, and he used to farm it. And then after that, the town bought it. It was going to be a high school for these kids. It was going to be the second Orange High School. When we bought it for $3 million, it was a big decision. We spent a lot of time. That took me from 1998 to 2000 just to get some grass growing there. And then now, 24 years later, we still are wondering if we're planting corn. So that's my concern, and it's a good concern. It's a concern, Jim, that only you can solve, because you keep giving the farm out. And I want to know your true desire for that piece of property. And I think you've told me. You want it to be an agricultural farming field.
I haven't said a word about it.
Oh,
have I?
yes, you did. You told the committee that you'd suggest that.
As I said here earlier, folks, this is the Board of Selectmen's agenda, and the Board of Selectmen vote on it. This man will continue to poke at me, but unfortunately, his facts are generally incorrect, as they are right now as he states them. But go ahead, Tom, keep going.
I will respond to that, Jim. I've been to your meetings now for 5, 6 years. You bring these things, it's not voted on. Last year, we asked you to vote on the land. You said it's not a voting thing, we're not having any vote, we're just doing it. And you even, at that point, you even had our town attorney do a Scribner's change to get a contract in place that shouldn't have even been in place back then, because that contract was null and void. But no, we went ahead and did that, Jim, because you wanted to do that. So you have no intention to do anything but farm that piece of land.
I don't farm it.
Yeah, I know
So
you
there
don't
you go.
farm it. I know who farms it. I just told you who farms it. And it's now it's
farms
the Heinz two sons.
Oh.
You know, they're out there, they're working hard. I got it. We're not taking anything out of their plate. If they would like us, I'd be glad to buy them all the corn he would like. Okay, I'd like to finish that field. The last time I tried to do this, went to Park and Rec meeting, month after month. Judy accused me of somehow working with Park and Rec, and they weren't doing anything. We were trying to do what was called Phase 6. We wanted to finish those fields and build parks. Now we have a lot of requests for additional fields, additional all activities, and you have our hands and arms tied. And then you send somebody to Park and Rec, and you have the Phase 6 dismissed and taken off the table. That was ridiculous. That was a slap in my face, and Steve knows it. He was at the meeting. You know, you just don't do things like that. These kids in this town deserve more. Someone told me, you're nuts for doing this. Why do you do this for 38 years? Because the kids are worth it, and it's about time everyone here understands that. And I'll be back up right after someone else has something to say.
Who's next?
I'll try and be brief. I won't be. Hopefully not as contentious as well. How is everyone? Very well, very well. Thank you for being here. My name is Richard Brown. Just a few points. I want to go on the record with respect to what's proposed here. Also ask a few questions that I'm hoping can be addressed, and just get a few points of clarity. Again, my name is Richard Brown. I'm here on behalf of roughly 78 families from Orange, a little over 150 boys and girls that are involved in Amity football and Amity cheerleading. You know, we previously have had some interest in getting some of the Fred Wolf Park area as practice facilities. Currently, what we're able to utilize is outside of the town of Orange. We have to travel to Bethany Airport, which is a hall, if anybody's familiar with the area. To do so in the evenings at 5:30, 6 o'clock is a lot. On top of that, we need to pay for those facilities at a substantial amount of money. All of these things are disadvantages to the kids, and they make it very difficult for the Amity Youth Program generally. So, you know, I became aware of the Fred Wolf Park development, and I think the consultant that's been brought on more recently, and I wanted Amity Football and Amity Pop Warner to have a say in how that goes. I only recently became aware of some of the history of the Fred Wolf Park property. And I understand that it dates back some time now. I think maybe as early as 2013, there was another group that was brought on of consultants. A plan was put in place, is my understanding. Obviously, we're knocking on the doorstep of 2025, and we
It was
still
a
don't.
plan that didn't work.
I don't, again, I don't
No,
know the
just
whole
tell me.
history, but I know that there was some prior steps toward where we want to go. I just want to ensure that the process is undertaken in an honest manner, and, we do what we can, obviously, for the children, give them some areas to play in. I was born and raised in Stratford. I love Stratford. My wife is from Milford. They have beautiful facilities there. It took a lot for her to talk me into moving to Orange, but we do love it here. And we want to see this property really developed, and I think that there's a huge potential there for the town, not only for kids, but for open space and other things like that. With respect to the specific field that is at issue with the lease here, my understanding is that plot of land and the corn that's grown there is not actually harvested for human consumption. I don't know to what extent that's accurate or what the property is really used for.
Feed the cows in our-
Understood.
No,
Right. No,
it's not.
Again, all right, I'm just
The
looking for
committee
clarification.
is Mr. Corangelo, Mr. Shanley. They handle that committee. It is moving forward. I have not participated in it, mostly because of Tom.
I'm
So
not here
the-
to- I'm
No,
not
no,
here to
no.
point
I
the
just want you,
finger at you at all.
you can meet
Sure.
with either one of them or email them,
Okay.
and they will update you on
Perfect.
whatever may be happening with that. I don't have the answers on it. I am not involved in it.
That's fine. And the other question I had was just with respect to the process. Is it an open process with bidding? Okay. Because I saw that there is a dollar amount in, what's.
Well, that's
being
just on
the-
this design and engineering so far.
No, I want to specify. What's on the agenda for tonight is there's
leases.
the leases,
Oh,
and I
these are
think there's a
leases, yeah.
$375.
Yeah, well, that's
Lease
just a
fee.
token.
Okay, well, I'm just wondering if again, I'm an attorney by trade. If I see $375 there for a lease of what I would call substantial amount of property, I don't know that points to an open process. So I'm just wondering what the process is, that's all. Again, those were really the points that I wanted to get out, and I'm hoping that our Amity Football, Amity Pop Warner can have a say in the process going forward, and that
I think,
things begin to develop, that's all.
did you have a public meeting on this
Yeah.
already, I think?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's where it goes.
all right. 822 Robert Treat Extended.
So that's all I can offer you at this point is to work with them in those meetings, and that's where it'll go.
I appreciate it.
All right?
Thank you all.
Who would like to be next?
Jeffrey Smith, 393 Grassy Hill Road. I understand that like this committee, most of us don't understand how these committees work, right? And I will say that it is very contentious what's going on with Fred Wolf Park. That said, to deny that the general public wants some say into it is undeniable. I can say that I came here today thinking that this is a forum that we bring it up. It seems like that's not the case, that we have to come to a committee meeting for it. By a raise of hands, I'm sure,
Hold on, for Wolf Park?
For
or
Wolf
the-
Park,
Yes,
yeah.
okay.
does anyone know that there's these committees going on? I don't see it. How do I find out where to see it?
They're posted, I think, on the town website. They're announced, I think they're ribboned on OGAT television. They're,
You could also sign up for alerts to the town.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I get an email or a text message, excuse me, for a lot of different committees, and it'll just be Fred Wolf Park Committee meeting. agenda. And that'll have the outline of the meeting, that'll have the date of the meeting.
This is the clarity that I'm looking for, so thank you.
Yeah.
How often does it meet?
Generally once a month.
Right.
We didn't meet this December, just timing is not good right now for
Yep.
everybody. But we will be meeting in January, and that will be posted.
Okay, and how long is the lease being renewed for?
1 year.
1 year. Is there an option to have this where we can have more outreach, community outreach? I understand what you guys are saying regarding the messages to sign up. I ask that we have bigger outreach for this, because in talking to people raising families right now, the general consensus, I understand our hands are tied here, is that in regards to Fred Wolf Park at least, we would like to see something done with it. We respect the community and the farming community as it is. We're not asking to take over all the land. There is 500 people who have signed for the soccer that want to do it. The football teams want to do it.
Right, and that's what they're,
What I'm
That's what
asking
they're
is,
doing.
is there a way that we can outreach better?
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
What do you recommend? Because this has always been a frustration that I have felt as a town attorney when I show up to these public meetings. And the one thing I always hear consistent.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter what meeting I'm at. Could be zoning, could be wetlands, could be.
microphone.
Oh, sorry. Bygones. Sorry. You didn't give me a mic tonight, I'm sorry. So the one frustrating thing that I have, and I've always been trying to find the solution, is the same thing is, we didn't know, how do we find out when the town, and this is any municipality USA.
Yep.
Okay? So I would like to know, what do you think we could be doing better? Because the town's website, we've been advertising, please sign up for the last 7 years.
Yep.
We put it in the local paper. We put it on the website. We put it, we publish it on the
Distribution,
town post.
posted.
So what do you think we could be doing better?
I got a ton of mailers all November and September, October from people wanting to solicit which way we should vote. I think a mailer to people's mailboxes regarding this committee, because there are a lot of people that are interested that might not be aware of all the details. I think that, I think a mailer or something, some kind of outreach would be
Who
good.
was the mailer from? Did you
No,
guys-
I'm
No, he just
suggesting,
means
I'm
voting.
So you
suggesting
think,
a
so.
We've done that in the past, too.
Like from the Board of Selectmen with a note, like, and I'm just saying this from a non-political,
Exactly.
a non-political informational, kind of like the town of Bethany.
Yep.
Puts out a bulletin.
Yep. I'm looking to
You
try to.
can sign up for an alert.
I personally want to field.
We're getting away from the point. I think going forward, you can absolutely trust that the message is going to be out there from here on out. We're getting away from the point, though. It's not just frustration or anything else with the process. Now people are going to know.
Well, I don't know if that's true.
I get that. We say that. I was
Sorry.
here, was it last year when we had the same meeting?
I said
And we haven't progressed. We did a great job. You did a great job with the playground. I was here when everyone was complaining about this and that with the playground. Playground's great. I love it. More people need a say in this, and I'm happy to help out in any way to try to get outreach. But I think there should be some more, we need to take bigger steps for
I think the
outreach.
first one you should do, the easiest one, is to sign up for the alert that goes out from the town website site when things are posted.
Yeah, I do
And that-
I do have those. I have them for
Well, then
Park and Rec,
that's-
but they all come at the same time. There's a lot of them picking and choosing
Well,
where
I
you're
can't-
going.
I can't
No,
help
I understand. Rather
When's the
than
next
people
meeting?
fight.
When's the next meeting of your
We
committee?
haven't picked a date yet.
We're waiting on the consultants, yeah.
Right, the survey's been out. It's, you go to the website, the Orangetown website, you can make comments, that's been posted for how long?
Yeah, I saw the BL company
Right,
thing that
about
they
5
did.
weeks.
It
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
good. I get it.
We've gotten a lot of.
Well,
They
that's-
had
they're-
that survey. What was the outreach? I shared that
They're still,
on the Facebook
it's still
page.
ongoing
Okay.
right now.
But so my point is, I ask that we do take time before we make decisions to see what the outreach of that was. I shared that.
That's
The
why
bus-
this is only a one-year lease.
Okay.
Because it won't be, by the time they're putting all this together, and then after that, it's a pick and choose and funding and, locations and being done and, all that sort of stuff.
All right. Well, I speak on behalf of over 500 people that suggest that we do repurpose it for more space for sports or activities or open space. And thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I just want to add a little clarity. We have hired a consultant to evaluate the existing footprint of Fred Wolf Park, which includes that parcel of farmland. We've had meetings for over a year now with the Fred Wolf Park Committee, soliciting information from our town residents on what's important to them, all different ages too. So please come to these meetings. You know, we publicize this the best we can. I put it on Facebook. You know, I know there's Facebook moms groups that talk about it. We encourage people to come. I've encouraged everybody to come, to voice your opinion. Every agenda will show the actionable items that we have going forward, things that have been communicated to us that are important. We could add to that if there's some things that have not been on there. So we're an open committee, listening to what people want. So please share with us what it is you're looking to achieve, and we will share that with the consultant to make sure, to the best of our ability, it's implemented.
PJ, there's one problem with a lot of the meetings. These are parents that have kids with activities, and then they've got kids that go to bed at night, you know, they have.
So I have
a
kids.
lot to do, and, you know, but what
And I
I'm
have a job.
saying is, they're not gonna go to these kind of meetings. That's why you don't get the turnout every single time.
Well, you don't have to go to all of them.
It's
If you go to
very
one,
hard for them. I've heard that
if you have,
from
well, listen, you can email us.
in town.
If you have an idea that you want to see implemented, you can email us. There's a way to contact us. We have the survey. I mean, th- this is why we're not, this is why we took about 5 steps backwards with this to make sure we're incorporating the whole piece of property. So we're not doing things immediately. We're listening to what's important to people. You're not going to come to a meeting next month and we're going to have, you know, some grandiose idea that we're just jamming down people's throats. And there's going to be more public hearings every step of the way as our consultant comes with different ideas. So this is going to be a multi-step process.
Anybody else that hasn't spoken?
Yes, yes.
Sure, why not?
You're gonna talk about me, then it'll stay longer, so be careful.
Hi, everyone. Ginny Prostakis, 327 Hollow Road. I hope everybody had a great holiday, Thanksgiving meal. I just want to say I'm supporting renewing of this for another year. But I also want to just say on the record, as a Hollow Road resident, I don't believe any of my neighbors feel like we're being heard. We love the tractor parade, don't get me wrong. We have a party every year, it's a big event. We parked on our lawn so that our guests could park in our driveway. You had signs posted that said if you park on the street, you're gonna get towed. And it was full of cars in front of your signs. The police officer came down, and my husband said, go talk to him. I said, I'm not gonna be the Grinch who stole Christmas from these families who think they're gonna watch it here. But it's a foreshadowing of what we're worried about if the park gets built out. And honestly, I would love the park to be built out. We have a 3-year-old granddaughter with special needs. She lives for that park. But the entrance to this park being solely at the end of a small cul-de-sac makes it feel like we're on the driveway to Wolf Park. So this land, I know, is important to a number of constituents. I just want you to factor in, is there a way to coexist in this plan? And I don't feel like we're being heard, which is why I'm here. Otherwise, I would just walk in and talk to one of you guys personally. But it's just something I wanted to get out there, and but I am supportive of renewing this for another year. I think that makes a lot of sense, because we're not going to do anything in the next 12 months. There's no way.
Nope.
Okay? Thank you.
Do you get to go to the committee meetings?
I will be going. I don't usually go, but I will be going.
Anybody else who would like to speak?
Bye, Steph.
Just going to issue 2 notices, one that PJ Shanley said nobody listens. Well, 2023, we started, and a petition was sent out. 565 people said, do not use that farm field again for farming, develop the park so that we can get an entrance. We knew that was, and I was on the committee from day one. That was the entrance. We didn't have Hollow Road. I negotiated Hollow Road with the developer. That is a driveway. Hollow Road was just a driveway in to what we built then was just for fields. We controlled those. Now we have lacrosse, we have, the need is another entrance. We have one. Jim did something there. We didn't pay attention to the safety study, but we got two
There was no
entrances.
safety study then. They did it after we put the entrance in.
Exactly, because you never had a safety study. You never had a master plan. You threw out the master
There
plan.
we go.
For
Keep attacking. Say
Well-
something worthwhile, but if you keep
Well,
attacking,
to all these
you can
people,
sit
it is
down.
worthwhile. Only to you, it's not worthwhile, but it is worthwhile. We had a master plan. The master plan made sense. And the master plan also was in my master plan for the kids at Orange Soccer Association. I had a plan to move them to Fred Wolf Park. The fact that we can't do that again after year, I'm now spending $5,000 to repair the mess that we have behind Mariel Tracy because we don't take care of those fields. We are going to do it. We're spending our money to do it when we should be doing things at Fred Wolf Park. At Fred Wolf Park, when I was involved with the design with the engineers, we took sprinklers all the way to the cornfields. I can water his cornfields. Right now. We took sprinklers, we took a set of lines to control it because that's where the field was going to be built. There are 6 fields that easily could be terraced there and be done. We could have football, but more importantly, you could have another entrance, and we have a big problem with I've been approached by many, many seniors in wheelchairs. I got to get some handicap parking, which is a nice thing for the committee to do, put some signs up. Someone stole the handicap parking sign I put there, by the way. But anyway, we need to get that done and to have parking at the far field for lacrosse and soccer. And yes, we could do something like that on a temporary basis without a master plan because that was the plan. That is the only other entrance to the park, despite what people tell you. That was the master way to get into Fred Wolf Park. We didn't have Hollow Road, okay? So that's the facts, and people don't understand the facts because we keep farming the field. And another year is just another year. I've been going to these meetings for 5 years, not 3, not 2, because as Jimmy said before, it's just a 2-year lease. Don't worry about it. This is just another 1-year lease. Don't worry about it. Then no one's going to have the money to do a thing. I came to the Park and Rec meeting. I said, we have the money. We'll put the entrance in. That was 2 years ago. And now I still get, oh, I don't know. Jim, you're dragging your feet on this, and I know why.
What my grandmother say, empty boxcars make loud noises. Yes, sir.
Steve Vesputa, 814 Glenbrook Road. A little history. I'm on the Park and Rec Commission for 20-plus years. We had plans of another entrance, but unfortunately, with the Army Corps of Engineers approvals, we didn't get them. Jimmy worked on new entrances, Jimmy O'Brien at our meetings talks about the committee meetings on OGAT. If Dominic, who was the engineering firm, he certainly is open to suggestions. I told Mr. Brown to talk to Dan about the unused fields at Fred Wolf Park. And Tom, there's there's fields available at Fred Wolf Park that you will not use.
I'm not going to answer that question. One more time. Jim, I do have a question that you can answer me, because, again, I've never had the opportunity to come to every one of these meetings, and you put this on the agenda. Thank you. The question was, why did BL Company say to me that the cornfields are contested land, And so their opinion, that's what they're telling me. And I went to meet, I heard, that's what they said. They said it in public. It's contested land. And I said, well, that's why the survey. And a lot of people at the meeting put a lot of stars on the cornfields, which I was glad to see. It's not contested. Some people want the corn to be built. Some people want it to be built for another year. But the point is, Jim, did you give them that idea?
I have not been to one of these meetings.
But they met with you.
With these people.
They met with
They
you.
met with me
Yeah.
and showed me plans. I did not give them any restrictions, stops, or goes. So stop trying to insinuate your bullcrap, Tom.
It's a
That's
fact.
all it is.
It's a fact of life, and nobody sees it. Now, all of you don't come to every meeting. I do. And so I see it and I hear it. Pardon me?
Have you been to any local farms?
Yeah, I see a lot of farms.
Now, you're telling me with, everything that you're saying, and I fully agree with it. I understand it, okay? So,
Why don't you come up here so that
Yeah,
it's
go ahead.
recorded, Joe?
I'm glad to respond.
Of course you will. You love your talk.
I'd like to speak after this gentleman is through.
Sure.
Mr. Zioli, in response to you.
Go ahead. You
I
can
might
talk.
faint,
Get
don't
in line.
know. So, I guess I'm more asking, have you talked to the farmer of the land that you're trying to develop on, try to, talk to, because,
He passed away last year.
okay, but, so you're saying that there's only cow corn there, which is false.
No,
So,
there was pumpkins for years.
no,
not just
there's
ours.
edible human corn. There's sweet corn there.
Okay,
So,
The past 28 years, you haven't tried to talk to him. If he passed away last year, you've been on the committee since '98 or whatever. You haven't made any, have you ever approached the farmers and tried to come together as a community, maybe figure this out with
So,
us on your side? instead
my
of being
point
one-
exactly-
So confrontational.
Why would you do that?
because right now, how you're acting seems like a bully.
Oh, it's not a bully. I'm
No,
bullied,
because-
bullied by Mr.
Because
Zioli
you're
for
directing
5 years.
around, okay.
So forget
So-
about the bully thing. We're trying to help here.
Okay, so you've not only just interjected with everyone right now,
Okay.
you haven't even talked to a farmer whose the fields you're trying to develop more fields on and everything like
It's not
that.
his field.
Okay,
It's.
And I don't plant it.
so now, I understand
Where
that
you-
it's not
where
his
you going?
fields.
Where are you going?
Good luck, Joe. Talking in the circle.
Okay, so what I'm talking about is that you're trying to develop something, which is fully understanding. But you haven't even talked to someone who it's affecting.
Why
Because-
would you do that? He doesn't own the land.
Why
It's
would
a
you do
lease.
that? Exactly. That's the worst part, is that you don't care about anyone else besides what you're trying to do
we
with
cared for
your
24
future.
years. We cared for 24 years.
24 years, but you haven't even talked to a farmer that has been out there
That
doing
That would
anything.
be up to the selectmen to do that.
Joe, just give me 1 second.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Lindsley, 1026 Garden Road, lifelong Orange resident. I think the best way for you to get this done is to work together as a town.
Yeah, it's up to me to do that, right?
Well,
It's up
no,
to
I
me
don't
to do it.
necessarily think so, but
No,
if you're
I think it's up to our
spearhead-
selectmen to do it. He is the one who assigns.
Sir,
them
if you're
out.
spearheading this and you're taking this on, it seems like it's personal to you.
No,
Then I
it's
don't,
been
I don't see
24
why you
years.
wouldn't, and you haven't approached, in that 24 years, you haven't approached anybody
Oh
in
my
this
God,
farming
I
community?
approached everybody for 5 years, everybody in this group directly, at every meeting. Have you been to every meeting? I've been to every meeting for the Board of Selectmen and the Park and Rec for years. Because
Okay.
it was clearly what we wanted.
That's not
And I
really
was
the
on the
question that
committee
I'm
that
asking,
developed the
though.
whole
I'm,
park.
I'm more asking if you've come to the community, the farmers.
Don't go accusing me of anything,
All right,
sir.
gentlemen.
No, I'm
this
not. I'm
is- gentlemen,
asking whether or
excuse
not
me.
you have.
If you don't mind, this defeats the whole
All right,
purpose of it.
the
so-
point of me coming up here was basically to say, I think, because us farmers have kids also, it would be in the best interest to kind of all come together and work on this together, instead of coming up and seeing like, it's a Jimmy versus, what, your name again is Tom? Yeah. It seems like a war between you two.
You think
But you
so?
gotta understand that the farmers here in this community love this community probably just as much as you do. And we love our children just as much as you do. So there's no reason to come up here and fight with Jim and you to fight with, fight with each other when we can come together. right? Maybe you can talk to the farmers and say, hey, how can we work together to get this?
Of course, they're all good people.
Okay.
I've worked with the agricultural.
No, but when you come up here and say, I could water his fields, all it feeds is cows, and his 2 sons are running it, a lot of what you're saying is wrong. So I would at least come to the farms and get some information on what you're speaking on.
That's up to me to do.
If you want to speak on it, absolutely. Or don't come up here and say something that
would be
isn't
up to
factual.
That's up to the person that assigns the fields, and that's Mr. Zioli. not
No,
me.
what I'm saying is the things that come out of your mouth aren't factual.
Oh, well, let's get it all factual then.
So why don't you
That's
come
why
to the
I'm here.
farms and have a conversation?
I'm not
That's
going
all
to
I'm
any
saying.
farm
That's
to-
all I'm saying, guys. That's all I have to say.
That's all right.
I have kids
All right.
in this community. I love the farms, and I'd like to see everybody work together.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is beyond the scope of-
Peggy, you wanted to speak?
So to finish, to finish my thoughts, so it's okay that I spend $5,000 at Mariel Tracy to fix a problem that we wouldn't have had we've done something at Fred Wolf Park. But that's okay. I don't see any help. I don't see anyone standing up and saying, no, Tom, we'll take care of it. That hasn't happened either. So it's a burden, and it's because we've been dragging our feet for 6 years. Jim, you've been assigning this for 19 years. Every 2 years,
And now it's 20.
you've just been doling out these farms at your discretion, your
Right, the
personal
selectmen
discretion.
didn't have anything to do with it.
They never approved it, Jim.
I am going to clarify one more
Yeah.
thing for those of you who came here on Tom's behalf. And I hope some of the Board of Selectmen remember it. Because when Mrs. Lasto was the principal at Mary L. Tracy School, they asked for more parking. And they're still asking for more parking because they have a lot of teachers and paras that have to park across the street in the Congregational Church lot because of the way traffic flow and all for the buses and all over there. I spoke with Tom about clearing more land at Wolf Park so that he could move, and I call them the toddler fields, it's for the little kid fields, at Wolf Park. And he vehemently opposed that plan, vehemently opposed it.
No, that was after it was
And
built,
so
Jim.
that's why, no, it wasn't after it was
after it
built.
was
The land
built.
wasn't even cleared yet. And it was part of the planning of clearing the land, Tom.
Anyway, and you
And so
never
he
went to Park and Rec.
vehemently opposed this. So the teachers and paras are still parking across the street.
Yeah, it's my
crossing the street in the dark at the end of school. So when you hear about it's for the children, it's this, that, they had the opportunity, and the opportunity will come again. But don't you dare believe that it was never offered to be done years ago.
That's a twisted story, Mr. Zioli.
Well, you ought to know,
because
you're the king of
I would have
twisters.
been more than glad to build Fred Wolf Park fields for Mary L.
We
Tracy.
didn't ask you to build anything. We did not ask you to
No,
do a
you didn't.
thing.
You did it on your own. You never even asked Park and Rec the
No,
dimensions.
nope.
You never asked a thing. You just
Chris
went and
Small
cleared
provided
land.
the map.
And then you gave to our town engineer the square footage, and he built fields at an angle. We would never be able to park 150 kids, cars at every hour at Fred Wolf Park as we're trying to play Sunday soccer. So that program is way grown out of a little cage that you thought they would play in. It's a good dog park, and Lacrosse has been using it. Steve said those fields are available, but Lacrosse has been using it, which is good because they have smaller fields and they can play on an angle. Football, I don't think you want to run uphill. That's what you have to do there. So the field was not attainable, so don't make it look like Tom Paisano's a villain here and he wouldn't move the fields for parking. I'm all for it. You got a couple $1 million, folks? Let's go right now. Let's build the fields. We'll move Mary L. Tracy over there, and we'll put parking behind the Mary L. Tracy School. That makes sense to me. That they need the parking, but we also have to move then, which you keep forgetting. You have baseball fields there. They play softball there. I don't forget all those things. I know that Pee Wee football needs a field. I know where they used to play at the high school. So we know that the master plan, which needs to get done as soon as possible. So
Okay,
that's all I'm
Peggy,
asking.
you're next. He's done.
Am I able to speak?
Oh, maybe I'm
Sure
done.
you are.
Maybe I'm done.
You're
Thank
done.
you.
You're done.
You don't tell me I'm done,
You're
Jim.
done. Your wife would like to
You
speak.
don't, if this is an open meeting, I can talk as long as I
You're
want.
rambling.
Robert's rules says the chair runs the meeting.
Are you okay? How many done?
Thank you, Mrs. Thank you.
My name is Peggy Pisano. I'm Tom Pisano's wife, 523 Fairway Road in Orange. My comment is only to the demeanor of our first selectman. You know, I'm not here to tell you all the things that Tom has done for this town. It is beyond what you can begin to imagine on every level. And his interest in this is in furthering for the children of Orange. He doesn't get a penny for the work that he's been involved with for all these years. And I want you folks to know this. And when I see the demeanor of the first selectman, I am so hurt by the way that he approaches Tom, the things that he says. It really is hurtful. And I hope the selectmen take that into consideration. Talking about a man. First of all, he's an aerospace engineer. He's no dummy, believe me. He loves Orange. He loves farming in Orange. He's talking about a plot at Fred Wolf Park that was deemed to be passive recreational. We're not talking about farms. Of course we love farms and farmers. You know, so this gets misconstrued. And I had to come up here because I see Mr. Zioli speaking out of his mouth and making faces and saying demeaning things about a man who has devoted his life to the town of Orange and to the children that live there. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak?
So my name is Stephen Vesputa Jr. My address is 831 Derby Melford Road. And what I will be speaking to is more of the original agenda item, which was the farmland, or the town-owned farmland leases to local farmers. So a little bit of background. My family owns Cedar Hill Farm. My wife and I operate our farm store that's located at the same address that I listed. We primarily raise livestock, which includes beef cattle, pigs, chickens for both eggs and meat, as well as turkeys for Thanksgiving. All of our products are marketed directly to local retail customers. So in addition to the livestock, my family also grows hay and corn for silage. Our field crops are produced on land that we own, in addition to land that we rent from private owners and the town. So now, being a farmer and being able to view farmland through both the eyes of an owner and a renter leads me to the following thoughts about the proposal to put town-owned land out to bid. So as a renter, why should we use sound farming practices to help keep farms viable while at the same time reducing our environmental impact? One example is the practice of mowing hayfields high and leaving extra plant residue allows the grass to recover faster. In the long run, it will lead to increased organic matter and more resilient soil, but it reduces hay yields in the short run. Another example, mowing hayfields at the proper time can control weeds without herbicides and will increase the quality of hay over time, but once again leads to lower short-term yields. Lastly, the practice of planting cover crops protects the soil from erosion, increases organic matter, and returns nutrients to the soil that otherwise may be lost to runoff and leaching. Once again, this practice has many numerous long-term benefits, but higher costs in the short run. So now, as you can see, practices that are better for farms and the environment in the long run usually have higher short-term costs. Taking long-term land security away from farmers and putting it out there for the highest bidder shifts a renter's priorities from long-term investment and responsible management to short-term financial gain. When you are making your decision on the future of town-owned land, please take into consideration the impact it will have on families who have spent generations stewarding farmland, investing their time and money into the community, and providing the town with local agricultural products. Then decide if that, or just a little extra revenue at the end of the year, means more to the town and its residents.
Well said. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? No questions? Okay. Oh, you're on the list? No?
All right.
Maybe it should be a motion to be put on the table.
Well, I'd like to,
It was in the beginning. Go ahead.
I'd like to separate the issues a bit. respect to everyone who's spoken tonight, and everyone has had their opinions and facts, and I appreciate all that we've learned tonight from everyone who's spoken, from the first to the last speaker. However, there is a process for Fred Wolf Park. That process is underway. We have a committee that's chaired with John and with PJ, and it's become evident that that particular piece of property, despite the fact that Tom and others would like to see it developed tomorrow, will not be developed tomorrow. It's going to take some time. I've attended the meetings, or at least a couple of the meetings with the BL companies and the Fred Wolf Park Committee, and realized that there is a lot of information going back and forth, and I hope that more people can attend those meetings to give their input. And if they can't attend the meetings, please go online and do the survey, because I know the committee is anxiously awaiting to see the results of the survey as to what should be done with the park, both in terms of the passive and active land that is there currently. But going forward, I'd like to strike what I consider to be, in my personal opinion at least, a compromise. We'll start with the Fred Wolf Park piece of property, because that's what everybody is concerned about the most tonight, and recognizing the fact that nothing's going to happen there as far as any kind of activity on the farmland piece, at least, for at least another year, to take the request that's been proposed to us tonight and extend the lease by 1 year. I noticed that, I don't know if it was Jim or Attorney Marino has taken out some of the clauses in there that caused confusion in the past. Jim has kept his word, and he's moved it from a 2-year to a 1-year lease. So we're not looking at 2 years down the road again. We'll be looking at this a year from now, for better or for worse. So I'd like to split this up a bit, because I have more to say about the other 3 leases, and make a motion that we approve, as presented, the license agreement for Fieldview Farm to, I guess, lease the property known as the Fred Wolf Park, the 14.4 acres, comprising an open field nearest Meeting House Lane and being the most northerly piece in Fred Wolf Park.
Just for a
Yep.
point of correction?
Yep.
It's a license, not a lease.
I'm sorry, license agreement. Thank you.
It's
I'll stand corrected and make my motion change to license.
Is there a second for this, so there can be continued discussion? Okay, motion's made. Is there any more discussion regarding this parcel? No. For clarity, there is corn for human consumption grown on that property. There is some cattle corn grown on that property, and there is some hard squash grown on that property, to correct statements that were made earlier tonight. It is farmed by the Hine family. There is one son that farms it, to correct the two-son statement, and he's sitting right there. His father did pass away, but he continues to farm. He's the 13th, I think, generation on that farm property. So, I think a little bit of factual correctness is important. It is, to me at least. So with that said, is there a motion to approve?
Motion made.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Any abstain? It's unanimous.
All right. Jim, if I can continue?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay.
Which one next?
So the other 3 that we have before us, and for those who aren't familiar with anything but the one Fred Wolf Park that's been discussed tonight, there's one for Racebrook Track property, also to be licensed with Fieldview Farm. There's one for the Wright property to be licensed with Joseph Moncheski, and there's also one for Ewan Farm Preserve Land, total of 10 acres on that one, to be licensed with Stephen Besputa. With respect to all involved, and I have the greatest respect for those people I've just named, as well as others in town who have farmed land throughout the generations, I do feel it is time, as I've said before, I'm being consistent with the last several meetings, that I feel that it's time for us to at least have what Mr. Attorney Brown said, an open process. This has not been an open process. This has been one where we just decided to continuously, year after year, and we've done it for years, and we looked the other way and said, okay, let's just renew these licenses. I think it's time that we go out and see what, and I'm not looking to make money on this, but I'm looking to have a fair, open, transparent look at the farmland. And with all due respect to my friend, Tom Paisano, he is not going to win any of these parcel lands because he's not a farmer, okay? It would only be licensed with someone who can farm the land. And it may be these same three individuals and entities going forward, but we don't know that. We don't know that unless we have an open process. And we had a sort of open process with a piece of property across from the American Legion. We had 3 legitimate, I think, bids on the property, when we set the price even, but three that looked at it. And I think there's nothing wrong with doing that. There are other people in town, there are other people who have been raised in this town, who may want to farm in this town and farm for a decent price on town property. And I think we should give everyone the opportunity to do that. I'm not taking anything away from the people that are here. I just think it should be an open process for other people to look at and to consider. And I'm not and I know last time we had discussion about how much time, effort had been put in by the farmers of this town, and I agree, they have. But there are other farmers that could take advantage of this, and maybe they don't. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. We will never know if we continuously just rubber stamp again and again every 2 years what we put out there. So with that, I'll make a motion.
Hold on.
Okay,
Before
sorry.
you do,
Yep,
just,
sorry, go ahead.
in order to ensure that if it were to go in this process, that it's a full and fair and open process.
Right.
And to apologize on your behalf to Mr. Pisano, because he might be a successful bidder. We don't know that to be true or not. So I think it's an unfair statement to make that publicly. So I just want to state that for the record.
Thank you, Vin. But I'm serious about not just going out to bid. I'm serious, but not just going out to bid to the highest bidder. This board has discretion about where we place bids. We do not always go with the lowest or the highest, depending on the situation, bidder. And I think we have the discretion and the wherewithal to do that in this case. And I'm not trying to do this to get somebody to come in and say, we'll give you $10,000 for the land and let it just sit. That's not the intent. The intent is to have it farmed, but the intent is to have it farmed in an open and fair process. That's all I ask. And with that, I would like to make a motion, which I don't know if I'll get a second, to table the license agreements that are before us tonight until that process can be done.
So walk me through the process of what you're recommending.
The process would be for this board or through the board, through the first selectman to put these particular parcels for the farming of the parcels, and each one we've already discussed, I don't have to name them again, and to have someone, if they're interested, to actually bid on the parcel. How much they're willing to pay the town for over a 2-year period. And it could be less than what we're getting now. It could be more than we're getting now. It could be the same as we're getting now. The difference is we give the opportunity to not just these people, but other people who might be interested in farming, because it's a livelihood. I get it, and they're making a livelihood, and that's great. And we like to see that. But there's other people in this town that have a livelihood that may be interested. Maybe one of these people wants to do all three, and wants to bid on all three. Why can't they?
So this comes up January 1st?
Yep.
It would continue, I think Vin would agree that whatever agreement's there now would continue until such agreement takes, we could make whatever agreement's there now. I don't think anybody's necessary, I don't know what they're, honestly, I don't know what is done in the middle of the winter, but I may be wrong. But certainly, the sooner we do this, the faster, the better.
Yeah, again, the only thing I would have to defer to someone more intelligent is, on the subject, is if the current tenants or licensees have put any type of winter crop down or anything like that, and whether or not this would somehow impair any interest they have as a result of their existing interest in it. I'm not competent enough to answer that question. Those who have farming backgrounds might have answers to that question.
Well, I would think at this point that the people who have, excuse me, who have been farming the lands and understand the lands, understand what's needed on that particular piece of property, a lot of them have already purchased seeds for next year. That's a big, big obligation. For you now to all of a sudden, within a month, say, let's just chop it all up and try again from a different angle, I think that's really not fair to all of the people who have probably pre-purchased, getting their equipment. That's what they do in the winters, get the equipment up and get it ready for the spring planting. And I think your concept sounds good, but I think we need time, again, to pull that together, figure out how we're going to do it. Because if you've got people in there, they're doing a great job, they're keeping things looking neat, it's just all of a sudden to throw that out. And
Judy, I appreciate that, but I've been asking this exact same question for the last several months. It hasn't been something that just came to me today. You know that I've been asking this for months, that these license agreements go out to bid. We discussed it. First Selectmen disagree with me. I respect that, but you know what? You know, we're in this situation only because it is the 11th hour, it is the 12th month. You know, we are in this situation, but in fairness also, the license agreements that the farmers have right now expired December 31st, 2024. They don't have the right at this moment to go any further than that, whether they've done it or not, whether they bought the seed or not. Now, kudos to them for doing so, expecting to do that, and that's fine. If possibly a compromise then is to extend all three of these for 1 year and let them go through that 1 year, but then go out and bid it after that, maybe that's a compromise. I just can't see continuously rubber stamping this because, quite frankly, no offense to anybody else, but you hear the expression all the time, it's the good old boy network, and that's what's going on. All right? And this board should stand above that. And this board should be able to be more transparent and more open in its community. And that's all I'm asking to do. If the same people come up and they're the successful bidders, God bless them. They did it, and we did it, and nobody can criticize us. But right now, I think we're certainly open for criticism, and I think we should at least take that step to be open and transparent about what we're doing about town-owned property.
okay, so let me ask you the next step. Who is going to be the one who can judge who would get a particular piece of land?
We've got 6 people at this table.
Do you feel confident enough that, I remember at one of the meetings we had, you were talking about perhaps the first selectman or the selectman should be in charge of who can have a bird scare and where it should be set up? I don't feel like I'm even confident for doing something like that, and I've lived next to bird scares for all my life. So that's where I'm a little nervous.
My comment with the bird scares was if I've got 2 bids and they're both exactly the same, all right, and one's going to use a bird scare and one isn't, I'm going to go with the one who doesn't use the bird scare. Because as first selectman, and I'm sure Jim's heard as well, but maybe not as much as I did, about the people that live near those that are disrupted by that. Yes, I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me, but I don't live right next to a farm. I do hear it, though. But look, if we can do that, we're in charge. It's the town. And as far as who makes the decision, Judy, we make decisions on roofs. We make decisions on plowing. We make decisions on tree cutting. Some of us are experts in certain things. Some of us aren't. We make decisions on CPAs. We make decisions on pension. All right? We've got different aspects. We represent the town. Doesn't mean we have to be the expert on it, but I think we can all collectively look at whatever's bid and make a collective decision. It's not going to be one person, not going to be me, but it's going to be all of us together. I think we can do that.
Well, I think at this point, I don't know, I would like to see what the rest of the members feel. At this point, I think we really are at that midnight hour,
Okay.
personally.
And if that is the case, and I'd like to hear from other people about that, but if that is the case, if an extension of 1 year makes more sense, then fine, as long as there's a commitment to go out the next time. I think we should. That's all.
So anybody else would like to speak on this? Stephen kind of spoke to it already, why you don't do that, but evidently that fell on
No, it
deaf
didn't
ear.
fall on deaf ears. It did
Well,
not fall on
that-
deaf ears.
Okay, Mitch made a motion. Was there a second to it? I did not.
Could you repeat the motion, please?
The motion was basically to table this. That was the first motion. I didn't get a second to it, so now I'll try to make a second motion if I can. Motion would be to extend the license agreements for 1 year with the understanding that sometime in the next year, that we do go through a bid process. And that way, everybody who's done the work they needed to do and bought the seed they had to buy, if that's the case, I'm trusting that may be the case, they'll have the 1 year, they won't lose anything, we won't lose anything, but at least we've told the public we're gonna go forward in the future and just put out there as a fair process. That's all. So I'll make a motion, we extend the 3 aforementioned license agreements for 1 year as a compromise.
I'll second you, Mitch.
Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye?
Those opposed?
All right, so much.
Those abstain? Fails. Okay, now, is,
So could I do a motion to accept the 3 licenses that we have here and set before us for as they are stated, for a 2-year lease and license, thank you, and license, okay, that's,
So your motion is
To-
to accept them as presented.
correct. I like that.
You're welcome.
Good.
You need a second.
a motion is made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay?
Abstain? 5-1. They pass.
I
Okay.
do think this is something in the middle of next year, let's talk about.
To consider and act on a request to approve the tax refunds totaling $16,989.65. I don't see any of us on here, although with this tiny print. And could they have found maybe a little bigger font next time? Jeez. All those in favor? Yep.
Aye.
Yep. Opposed, abstained, unanimous. Pension Board, Mitchell.
Yeah, Pension Board met November 21st. We met with our investment results with Chris Catchmore. Things are looking good in the last quarter. Without getting into detail, I think people don't realize that. We also moved some funds of the pension from Western Asset Core Bond to Dodge and Cox income based on recommendation from our consultant, because there was some concerns from Fiducian that we should no longer continue Western Asset because of some management issues there. And we also had a presentation from Voya, who runs the 401 and 457 plans, the defined contribution plans, saying that 2 things. First of all, the balances are going up. So there's 211 accounts that have in the 401 plan. There's an extra 24 accounts which are in the 457 plan. Not all these are active employees, but there's a lot of accounts. The accounts keep rising, which is a good thing. The assets continue to rise up to almost $30 million now in there. But we're still looking for ways to get more and more employees who are not putting anything away for their retirement to be putting something away for retirement. So the educational piece of this will continue. But we're very pleased. This is a approval that was made about a year ago by this board to move to Voya, to consolidate all the defined contribution record keeping with one group, that being Voya. They've been well received by the town employees, and the pension committee feels that the pension board feels they're doing a fine job, and looking forward to more educational seminars going forward for our employees.
Did they give you a number on how many I don't know if it started yet, that second Roth plan that they were now making available to employees? Did you get a report on that
I
yet?
think it's embedded in the whole big
In the total
presentation we
number?
have. Jim, I can get that for you. There
I was
were-
just wondering how many
There
took
are
the
some
second.
people, not a lot, because what happens with some people, they realize that to put into a Roth, which can be very advantageous to retirement, they have to pay they pay the tax now,
Yeah, pre-tax.
which is
Post-tax.
post-tax,
Post-tax.
which means that their take-home pay now is going to be reduced from what they're doing because they're paying tax on maybe the same amount they're putting in.
Right.
So some are not willing to make that adjustment, others are, but the option is there. So
Yeah.
we give the employees the option of putting in their 457 plans, to put in as a Roth or as a regular deferred compensation plan, or both. So they have that.
Yes. We do have some that are putting in both. We
Yeah.
have some that are putting in nothing.
Well,
Still.
that's the concern. The real concern is the ones that are putting in nothing. It's a personal decision. We're just hoping that everyone is well-educated enough to make that decision because, look, some people come to us later in life. They may have retirement plans elsewhere and not need ours. Others come to us early in life. They can't afford to. But sometime along the line, you've got to plan for that retirement.
Some are rolled into,
Yeah,
they come
rolled
to
up.
us and roll it in.
Exactly.
Because it's a better option than what they had elsewhere.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
The Voya plan has done very well with that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Fred Wolf Park Ad Hoc Committee, I think you stated that you,
Well, we just,
Gonna-
to clarify some earlier statements, we had a great, well-attended meeting last month. It was question and answers. There was discussion about the future of the park. The committee encourages the public to get involved, whether it's you're angry at certain things or you're happy about certain things. We are only as good as your input. You can go to the town website. You can answer the survey. Those surveys are then calculated and produced and then presented to the committee. So your voices are heard. So please, reach out to us, go to the website. Gentlemen, with regard to the football, football, you're part of it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I had a young man that played football, and we traveled all the way up to Bethany. That's not an easy trip. And, majority of those kids are Orange kids. So, yeah, we want them to be part of Fred Wolf Park. We want the Orange Soccer Association to be part of Fred Wolf Park. Come to our meetings, please input, get as much information as we can get. We'll make this place the best around. So please help us do that. Thank you.
okay. Very good, that's it. Motion to adjourn at 8:22.